Weapons online.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another cast here from ISC Season 2. My name's Toaster, and I'm here with my good friend.
His good friend being Saruman of many colors. And welcome back, viewers. We are back, and Toaster and I, as we said in the first stream, are going to be taking a seat in the pilot seat as far as casting goes. We have a pretty clear schedule. I can say that apart from some freelancing work, because I work in sound and I work in news, and that's always a fluid schedule, Toaster's off from school, so you're going to be hearing a lot more of our ugly voices, and you may even see some of our ugly mugs.
Oh no, I'll spare them that.
No, they need to see my beautiful beard, the beauty that is Saruman of many colors. But anyway, going onward, we got a match today that's going to be a little bit of a lower division, but these teams are still looking to make their mark nonetheless. 228 Death from Below, a team that competed in Division D last season in Martial Olympiad Season 1, and Mercstar Crawdads, who is Mercstar's second team, led by Weapon W. This team is relatively new to the competitive scene. I don't think that they competed in Martial Olympiad Reborn, Toaster, unless you
no, they did not. They did not. So they're pretty fresh to competitive for sure. Now, granted, they've probably done some practice with the other team, Mercstar Crab people, but everyone's got to start somewhere, and this seems like as good a league as any. Now, the original ISC, if you don't know, was originally meant as a tournament for non-competitive units. So, they let the SJR and the Swords of Kentaris and the House of Lords people all have their first engagement stuff, and then you had ISC coming around saying, hey, if you're more of a beer league team, we can play with us.
And you know what? That probably worked out in the end anyway, because there's a big problem where a lot of basically what happens is that a lot of the lower division teams kind of just get shellacked, because in the early inceptions of MechWarrior Online's competitive season, there really wasn't too much in the way of seeding, so the lower div teams were kind of facing the higher div teams. For instance, when I first played on credit, my very first baptism in MechWarrior Online's competitive scene was a baptism by fire. My first match was against SJR of all teams, and they face rolled us completely.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. We tried to do our best. I remember my old friend at Oxidation was like, we got to show up and we got to do something. And we showed up and we definitely did something. We dropped the stink bomb as SJR gloriously face rolled us onto their way to glory. And I think that they might have actually taken second or first place. They were definitely in competition with DV8, who was kind of one of the earliest ancestor teams of Lords. They had a lot of good players on that team. Cafanx, Ryan Steele, Peef Smash at a time when he was a top-level light pilot, Aduvio, Wispy, Criven, all old league names that used to be at the very, very top of the MWO competitive stratosphere, who most of them are now gone. But, at the time it was an honor and a privilege to be killed by the elite. And from SJR, we had to fight off against Jaeger 12, Roughneck, Magician, Glory, even some names that people might not recognize completely. Pie Maker, Fabrosian, R. Gillingham, and I think this was before T-Fun 2, so we had to deal with Seriothrax, who, might I add, is probably one of the greatest light tacticians MWO has ever seen, but that's a discussion for another time.
Back to these teams, yeah, so we got some newer teams, but at the same time, there are people who've been around the community. I know on 228 Death from Below here, you've got Pickle Dax and Morticia Mellon, who've actually been doing some streaming, so they're decent pilots and maybe a little fresh for comp, but they've been practicing for a while for sure. I know 228, they put all their pilots through the paces if they even want to think about being in competitive. But yeah, we looked up some of the stats before this match just about these teams. And it does seem like Chortle's light pilot for 228 Death from Below is kind of one player to be looking out for. Him and Pickle Dax actually usually does just from leaderboard stats, and their stats from Martial Olympiad was one of their better players. Other than that, though, there's not. I would say they're kind of more like DSAG, what we saw before. They're seem to be pretty even skilled across the board, and they're going to be relying kind of more on teamwork than just any one player to kind of carry them through this tournament.
And not only that, but it's also worth noting that Roscoe's a pretty solid player as well, and Morticia Million, as a streamer, they
Yep.
always get advice from some of the best. I know Sean Lang definitely developed a lot from taking advice from players and taking advice from teams such as SJR. And at the same time, we have Mercstar, who this is their first foray in comp. I think that they're just going in bushy-tailed, bright-eyed,
Weapons
with
online.
adorable red cheeks, a la, cherubic style, kind of like Little Red Riding Hood, thinking,
Over,
hey, what can
everybody.
go wrong?
Welcome
What can go
back
wrong
to
is that you can get stomped, but for now, this is a pretty even matchup, and this should be a bunch of fun games, and we're going to launch at this moment.
Yeah, we didn't quite have time to go over MS, but they've got some good players too. Renoct, Weapon W, Aligote, and Arisen are all solid pilots.
And Toaster, just FYI, people are complaining about the sound of, I think, your introduction or something like that. Might want to lower
Oh,
that
yeah,
before we start
yeah.
the stream, especially when we go off Saturday, I believe it is. That's our next
Is
guest.
it? It must be that Aces Wild intro. I might just have to get away with it. There's no way for me to adjust that transition volume, unfortunately. But
This
anyways,
is where we need the technical genius.
Yeah.
Is Kurlon. Kurlon, where are you? We need your assistance. Kurlon, as Princess Layla would say, you're our only hope. Give us the keys to the kingdom, sir. However, we'll worry about that another time. Teams are dropping, mechs are hopping. And let's see what's going down
What
on
do
these
you
teams.
see?
Right now, Tofurky in 5 medium pulse laser Vulcan 5 LT. We were talking about how that mech was sorely missed by both DSEG and Mercstar during their route. Chortles in the Commando 1D, SRM 4 small lasers. Very interesting pick. Kind of like his style. He's got 2 little boosters on the back of it. That's kind of cute. Morticia Malin and Roscoe. ER large lasers and ER medium lasers in the Grasshoppers. That's a very weird combination since the ERs are going to outpace the mediums. So there's really not going to be much of a weapons combination between ranges. Mediums and ER mediums are they're maxing out their damage. ER mediums are maxing out their damage at 500 meters. ER mediums maxing up their damage at around 700 meters, whereas ER large lasers, they're just getting started at that range. So that's a little bit of an odd weapons combination. Can't say I support it, but we'll see what these teams have in mind. Maybe they have a plan up their sleeve that, of course, we are not privy to since, well, we're not on their team. Heigl, 6 ER medium laser Wolfhound 1A, kind of taking a page out of MS's book, or maybe not even taking a page
it's
out of it,
DSAG's
just
book.
DSAG's book, you're right. Apologies, but yeah, they're opting for the range game with those mediums, ER mediums, it seems. The Arisen, Battlemaster, 5 ER large lasers, Renoct, Grasshopper 5J, 4 ER large lasers, Roughneck 3A from Ramen for the win, 4 ER large lasers, and then the Wolfhound 1As and Wolfhound 2s also have ER mediums. So definitely it feels like that Mercstar Crawdads have a bit more of a solid plan going in. Their plan is all range, whereas 228 doesn't seem to have that much of a combination drop deck. Like I said, they don't have as many ER large lasers. They don't have a lot of poking power in their heavier lances. Less ER large lasers, less ER medium lasers because their Vulcan 5Ts are carrying medium pulses and Commando 1Ds. They might be worrying about cap point fights, but we'll see how this goes as the fight continues on. And I interrupted you, Toaster. I'm very sorry.
I think they're choosing those ER meads just kind of on the off chance, kind of hedging their bets against a brawl where, they're a little bit higher DPS than the ER larges, I think. But that being said, Morticia took a lot of fire coming up here into this gas station landing pads area. Roscoe's kind of moved up to support her. And meanwhile, Pickle Dax sitting with his Black Knight over in these tanks. They're just doing some scratch trades. But in the meantime, MS has rotated all of their light mechs over into Gamma. And it looks like they've actually got 2 kind of hiding over here in this corner. Maybe trying to see if Weapon W can act as bait and, kind of catch.
And right now, it seems like that bait might be happening. Chortles could be on his way to Frowntown. He's looking up to see if Weapon W is alone. He might be trying to engage on the point, and Weapon W may try to hold him there. Ambush Schmidt and Heigl moving in with the Wolfhound 1A. It looks like they're going to try and set up this ambush, but keep in mind, the Commando 1D, if there's one mech that can get away from it, it's definitely that one. Burns are going down 91%. Chortles getting some support from Tofurky, and it looks like that he's going to be pulling out immediately. Chortles is smoking, however. But he's going to fight this now. This is interesting. This is a 2v3. Commando 1D definitely has a bit of a DCBS advantage, and now it looks like he's backing out, but strikes dropped by MS. Looks like that the Commando and the Vulcan ate some crazy damage on that strike.
Yeah, I think this
Not
Vulcan,
favorable.
they need to get out of there. That Vulcan, I think these Wolfhounds still want to take this fight even with the Vulcan there as backup. They can just ignore the Commando for the most part, kill the 2 Vulcans, and in there. But
and right now
now
they're being joined by the second Vulcan, at least. Oberfjord, Tofurky, and Chortle starting to pull out. Oh, man, that could have been the pick right there, but the Wolfhounds just didn't seem to be in the right position at the time in order to take full advantage of a potential pick. They were a bit too far away, and the burns didn't exactly hit true, but, I mean, this is Mercstar's first foray into comp. Can't really give them that much problem. However, it was a nice attempt either way. Pretty skilled setup overall from Mercstar. Execution, of course, could have been a little better. And looking at the trades, you are right. Morticia, Malian, and Roscoe on 228 IBR's team are eating a ton of damage. However, at the same time, Renocked and the Arisen are at 84 and 85% respectively. So it's not as if these trades are completely one-sided. It's just that right now 228 IBR is losing the percentage game because that light battle did not exactly unfold in their favor. Looking at where the damage percentages lie, though, Roscoe's, all of his damage is in his center torso, which is par for the course for the Grasshopper, and that's why it's kind of dangerous. Morticia, Malin, same situation. Damage is all in the center torso. Looking at the Arisen, where's all his damage? His damage is actually spread out all between his torsos and his center torso. Looking at Renocked, I think, and yes, I am correct, it's a similar story. His damage is more spread, so even though the percentages aren't exactly in 228 IBR's favor, right now...
Although, look at the back here, the Mercstar mechs are coming in. The Wolfhounds are just, I don't know, they seem awfully committed.
Yes, they
for
seem
this point in the game.
Right now. Tofurky smoking down 74%. Thank you for taking me away from that toast. And right now, look at the coordination with the heavy mechs. Pickle Dax is getting shot in the rear by ER large lasers from the other side of Mercstar. This is a brilliant maneuver right now. 228 is bleeding mech percentages, and these Wolfhounds really aren't taking much in the trade backs. However, their legs are getting beat up, and the biggest problem is that if the Vulcans do push, they do have a target. Some of those legs are cherry red armor, but it looks like the 228 is not committing on that push. And as I was saying, the percentages on 228's side are much more focused, meaning it's center torsos receiving only the broad amount of damage. Morticia, Melon's center torso is already open. Roscoe's center torso is about to be open. So even though the percentages aren't too different, they definitely don't favor 228 because the damage is more focused.
And Chortle's right now
trying to make some work happen.
Yeah.
And nothing's giving. The Arisen manages to catch him off balance and get some ER large laser fire into that poor little commando, down 63%. Chortles needs to make some of that solo Q, group Q magic happen. His commando is super beat up, and that's the problem with the commando. He's just taking too many hits, and he can't really afford to poke. He has to kind of go all in, and the way Chortles has been going all in has not been favorable to his mech's health.
Now that being said, 228 does have somewhat of a point advantage. They've also got a 2-cap lead, or a 2-to-1 cap lead, so right now they can kind of slow roll these trades because their mechs are hurt, and it's going to take some time.
Mercstar is already taking back the Kappa point, and I think we're starting to see the disadvantage of these builds come to fruition. We're seeing the 228 IBR just isn't putting as much damage and not as much focus damage because they just lack the amount of ER large lasers that Mercstar did. They committed to the full trade, whereas 228 kind of brought these hybrid builds, these laser vomit hybrid builds, where the lasers don't exactly...
Now the Wolfhounds are chasing Chortles away, and Chortles is eating a lot of damage for being over here all by himself. Feels like 228's not using their Vulcans to their full potential. They're spending too much time just kind of hovering around their main body. Maybe they're a little bit too afraid of, where the Mercstar Wolfhounds are, but you can remedy that issue by making yourself a credible threat that the Wolfhounds have to react to.
Maybe getting legs soon. Looking at his percentages, he's down 40%. Both legs are orange to dark red internals. He's going to be legs soon. Oberfjord needs to come in and give him some backup. Definitely, Chortles is trying way too hard to make magic happen. He is taking a lot of damage for no reason. Not a lot on the return fire. And once again, as said, these mixed range builds for 228 are not doing them any favors in the long range trade game. Morticia, Malin 70%, Roscoe 67%, Pickle Dax 64%. This is where the mech builds are really starting to differentiate themselves. Renock 78%, Arisen 76%. It looks like Mercstar has this in the bag, assuming they don't make a major gaffe.
Yeah. It seems like if Mercstar just starts to apply a little bit more pressure with their Wolfhounds, they've basically, as you said, pretty much neutralized the commando already. He loses one leg, he'll go down real quick afterwards.
And it looks like the Mercstars are out for... not Mercstar. My mistake. Gaff. It looks like the Wolfhounds might be out for blood. These two Grasshoppers are very weak center torso. That is a lot of focus damage. Morticia Malian's center torso is almost orange.
And Roscoe goes down.
And he does, yes, from the large laser fire on the other side. That was a great crossfire. Good bait by Mercstar. Managed to lure him into a position where he just got poked to death. And we're seeing
Chortles needs to be real careful here.
He's going to his death. There's no way he's going to be able to make something happen. He does drop a strike. The other Wolfhounds, they don't see this? How do they not see this? Wow, Ambush Schmidt eats a terrible strike. He was actually pretty healthy. Lost about 30% on that strike. That was nasty.
Chortles is now legged too. The Weapon W kind of came up here, pulled that kill. The Weapon W's a little bit isolated from the other Wolfhounds. He needs to be
he's
careful.
Isolated from the other Wolfhound because Ambush Schmidt is legged. There's not much he can do. Heigl trying to get on the return fire. Tofurky and Oberfear are pushing. Pickledax coming up in the Black Knight 7L to offer some support. And right now these Wolfhounds are just trying to fight. I do not like Ambush Schmidt's position, and that is why. He was up front. He was legged. He was the most injured mech, and he got neutralized. And now 228 is operating from a position of great strength. Weapon W is now isolated. Heigl is just trying to provide as much range support as he can, but he goes down too. Heigl's the last light mech, and Mercstar unfortunately tossed away an advantage that they had to try and maintain cap control, and it just didn't work. Now Heigl's got to flee, and right now things are not actually looking good for Mercstar, despite the percentages being more on their side.
Yeah, Chortle is somehow still alive in his leg commando. They'll probably just leave him on this cap point for the rest of the game, would be my idea, and kind of send the rest. Looks like Heigel's going to try and re-meet up with the other heavier mechs on Mercstar's side, but they got to start worrying about caps now that they're down to only one light mech. Might just have to try and see if these this heavy and two heavies and assault can win this on their own, and Heigl tries to stem the flow of points.
Well, right now, 228 has a major disadvantages in percentage. Their entire team's grouped up. They can easily take the fight over at Sigma. It felt like that perhaps Mercstar missed a golden opportunity to maybe end the fight by just moving their ranged components up and getting in the face of 228. They definitely had the percentages on their side, but they really didn't take advantage. Tofurky and Oberfear are now going to be capping without much worry. Heigl's at 83%. He's pretty healthy, but all those Vulcans really have to do is stay together, and the Wolfhound will be pretty much mech food. However, at the same time, 228's heavies are just weak, so if the heavies can kind of just ball up and get to a point, whether that be Sigma, whether that be Gamma, kind of stick together, locate their heavy lance, and finish them off with key kills, then this match is still very winnable by Mercstar, but they need to make a move now, because with a 2-point advantage swinging in their favor. Oh, and more Ramen down from Ramen. Good kill on that right there. And 228, the game's now even, but, I mean, Chortles might as well be dead.
Yeah, Pickle Dex needs to be real careful here. I think Morticia made a mistake just pushing a little too far up. Pickle Dex, don't go forward. You just don't want to trade this. You just want to kind of sit here and wait. Make them push you. You're obviously not winning the range trades, and your two Vulcans are off on the other side of the map, so they can't even come to back you up. Neither can Chortles, who's kind of just stuck on Sigma for the rest of the match. It do seems like we're about to have a fight here on Sigma, though. The two Vulcans are about to meet Heigl. Heigl sees them.
Toast, I got bad news. You're casting
my God,
screen, dude.
Rip.
Yeah.
All right, well, it is fixed. I'm sorry, everybody.
Oh, that kind of stinks. I wish I caught that sooner. I apologize, chat.
Yeah. I think I might have switched it and then switched it back accidentally.
But the Gamma fight's now happening. Heigl threw himself away to try and fight the Vulcans. That's not good either. So right now, Mercstar is just slowly tossing this match out of their favor. They lost their entire light component, and this is not good. As we were trying to fix the screen, we missed Heigl, who was essentially trying to make magic happen against the Vulcans and just couldn't make anything go. So all that's left now is the heavier component from Mercstar, and it's a real shame, too, since Mercstar was winning this match rather handedly throughout the game, but at the end of the day, 228 just kind of re-improvised, sent their lights with their heavies, brought some extra reinforcements to support Chortles, who got legged a little early, and now this game looks like it's going to go to 228 unless either something magical happens or 228 makes a major gaffe.
Yeah, all Chortles and Pickle Dax really need to do is buy time for their Vulcans to start running around the map and outcapping the Mercstar mechs. You know, the Mercstar, they're committing all three mechs to Sigma, I guess, because they don't feel like they can take it with a single mech. But I mean, that's kind of just, I think, admitting defeat at this point, because you need to do something about the Vulcans, and moving 3 mechs to 1 point isn't that. Yes, Morticia, we've done it already. Looks like Ramen takes out Pickle Dax. Now Chortles is going to probably fairly quickly die here. I don't know. He might have a good spot that can protect that leg and just get a few scratch hits on Ramen. I don't think it's really going to end up mattering at this point, though.
Caps are way too much in their favor at this point. All it takes is 25 seconds, and there's no way that a Battlemaster 2C, a Grasshopper 5J, and a Roughneck 3A are going to cap the map in 25 seconds.
Yep. Chortles, stay alive. I don't think kills matter in this league, though, so...
They kind of do and kind of don't. I'm not exactly sure how the scoring process goes. I would say the kills do matter for MC, though, perhaps. Okay. There might be some reward for that later on. But 228 walks away, manages to grab a victory from the jaws of defeat in this match. Very well played by 228. Good recovery. Mercstar had the match in the bag at the beginning. They definitely had the mech lab advantage, but they just couldn't pull it out in the end.
Yep. Well played by T28. They managed to pull it back. They were losing their trades early on, but they kept their lights alive. And on a map like this, that's very important. It's kind of hard to outcap another team even if they just have one more light mech than you do. All right, what do you see from this scoreboard, Mr. Saruman?
What I see from this is that the Wolfhounds on Mercstar's side kind of underperformed. Ambush Schmidt, she got 104 damage, Heigl 235, Weapon W 271. Definitely could have done a little bit more work. And we're seeing from the heavier side, the Roughneck did a lot of work. Ramen for the win, 524 damage, 4 kills. Tried his best to make the match happen, but just couldn't do it. The Arisen 343, Rionok 266. Meanwhile, on the other side, 228's damage spread was much more even across the board. Chortles 290, which is kind of impressive since he was getting beat up badly. Pickle Dax 347, Morticia Malin 253, Roscoe 204, 219 from the 219 and 251 from Oberfjord and Tofurky, respectively. And I think what we're seeing is that 228 definitely did not win this in the Mech Lab, and they just kind of won this on capped and managed to capitalize on key mistakes made by Mercstar. And the key mistake being they lost a large portion of their light lance throughout the game. They were bleeding lights, and in a conquest-based mode on a large map like Grim Plexus, lights are life.
Yep. It was a little bit surprising, like you said. You noticed that one strike go out on the point, and I guess they didn't see it, or maybe they had night vision on, couldn't see it. I don't know, something happened. There was either some big miscommunication or something that kind of got that one Wolfhound struck, and I think the strike even took his whole leg out by itself. But yeah, it's pretty similar to what we saw play out the other day. Sorry for everybody who's watching. Basically, you had Mercstar kind of set up some guys on Hamburger Hill over here, and while 228 set up their guys originally in these tanks and kind of moving back through here. Eventually, they kind of rotated over around. Oops, that's the wrong color. Rotated around to F8, where it kind of became a game of who can control Sigma best. Unfortunately, Mercstar lost all their lights doing that, even after they were up a mech. When 228 rotated, their 2 Vulcans, their Commando, and a Black Knight up there. Morticia came eventually, but she was a little bit behind, I guess, just kind of slow because of the calls or whatever. And once they had killed all those Wolfhounds, that was just kind of all she wrote for this match.
And also seeing from the top of Sigma, like Delta 9, like, they didn't lose all their lights over it. Delta 9
right.
fight. Like, unfortunately, one of the other lights threw themselves trying to fight off the 2 Vulcans at Gamma.
Yeah.
But, it was unfortunate because Mercstar just continued throwing lights away, kept on throwing percentages and all that kind of stuff, and it was just extremely unfortunate that basically Mercstar's lights didn't know what to do after the other lights got picked, and they didn't know how to get the cap game back. And I guess that kind of comes down to a bit of an experience on Mercstar's side. After the first light dropped, it was kind of the other 2 lights just shuffling around, seeing what they can and cannot do. So I think that just comes down really to experience. The lights just didn't know how to take the L, unfortunately, after the light fight, which, like I said, is a shame since they won the Mech Lab battle, they won the percentage battle, and Yeah, they were playing very well for all things considered until the end game when the lights just kind of seppuku'd themselves.
Yep. But, you know, you live and you learn, and that's that. I believe, I don't know, I lost track of kills. Mark Star had, I believe, 2 kills? 3 kills? No, 4 kills. 4 kills. And the Crawdads had.
Yeah, all those kills were, I believe, to Ramen for the win. Yeah, he was the one that got all the kills. 534 damage, 4 kills. Pretty impressive, all things considered.
Yeah, he was doing some work in that Roughneck. That mech does trade surprisingly well. You know, you don't think of the Roughneck as a trade mech. Most of the time when I see it in solo queue, it's a usually like a brawl mech, you know, SRMs and LBs or something like that. But that 3A with its just kind of high, crazy shoulder mounts, it makes for a very good trade mech.
Yeah, and you know what? What happened was that basically Renoct was kind of, I mean, not Renoct, Ramen was kind of using his team as a meat shield, you know, for a little while. For a while, it was just the Battlemaster 2C and the Grasshopper 5J that was eating all the damages on the trades, and the Roughneck was kind of just going around the flanks to get all the range. And like I said, you know, the Mech Lab battle was definitely in Mercstar's favor, as evidenced by the early trades going on throughout the match that that unfortunately the viewers couldn't see because we were small screen, or if they could see, but they couldn't see that well. But at the same time, you know, it was very strong play on their end.
All right, looks like Mercstar is ready though. We're about to switch sides this time. Mercstar will get gas station side, and 228 will get Hamburger Hill. So we'll see how 228 adjusts. Maybe they'll decide to opt to bring, you know, even more range. It doesn't seem like any of the teams so far have really wanted to try and force a brawl on this map, which I can somewhat understand, just because, you know, it's so hard to control all 3 points if you don't have, you know, a big brawling force. But I almost wonder if, you know, you could just kind of split your team in half, and just by virtue of having more DPS on your side, just win the cap game that way. You know, if your other opponent has, you know, 3 battle masters or whatever stuck on the hill, they're not going to want to push onto one of those points, even if they do have a slight numbers advantage.
Well, we'll see if T2A definitely changes their builds up. That's definitely something that's worth mentioning. Those trades were pretty brutal against them, and at the same time, I think Mercstar's Lights need to be a bit wary of strikes. There was literally a strike right in front of them on the Sigma point that absolutely decimated one of the light mechs on the side of Mercstar. I think he went down from like 80% to 40%, something insane like that. You just cannot let a strike like that hit you. It's going to tear your light mech up. Doesn't matter if you're in the Wolfhound, doesn't matter if you're in the Urban mech, you're going to eat a lot of damage, and that's damage that you cannot eat, especially in a crucial light fight that decided the game, such as that. Waiting on Pickle Dax right now. Hopefully these teams have actually, you know, it's actually very interesting noticing how the divisions work. The lower the divisions go, the quicker they are to prepare. Yeah,
all these Div A players, they're so finicky in particular, and they also want to adjust things last minute.
Yeah, no 30-minute delays from 228 or Imperial curling their fingernails, like getting their fingernails done between matches, or Black Omen, you know, having a cup of tea and a crumpet before they start a match. Just nice, straightforward matches. And here we go, match 2.
All right, I've changed the screen. I'll try not to change it back.
Yes, please make sure we are not small screened.
Yes. I get the impression that so I changed my OBS scenes. My one that was the home screen was pre-post, and because I have a tendency to alt tab, I think I was like accidentally switching screen whenever I go to press P to change all the stuff.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's an honest mistake. So it's, you know, it's whatever. Right. I mean, just don't do it again. Yeah, just don't do it again, or else you're fired. All right. So, what do you see? What my boss says, you know, at work, he's like, "You can make mistakes, just don't repeat them." Now, what do I see? Talking about it, Mercstar bringing 4 Roughneck 3As with What is that? 7 medium pulse lasers.
Oh,
Wow.
so they're like a full
Okay.
brawl deck this time, or
They
kind
are
of
a
laser
full
brawl.
brawl deck. They are the Saints, and they are marching in right now. 4 Roughneck 3As, all with medium pulse lasers, and a Wolfhound 2 with medium pulse lasers. Javelin 11A with 7 medium lasers. That's quite a bit of damage, even though it's going to be somewhat hot. Meanwhile, it looks like that on the other side of 228, they're running very similar builds. ER large lasers and ER medium lasers. Once again, I'm not exactly a fan of that laser spread together. I think large lasers and ER medium lasers would work better together, and I'm pretty sure that Bowser might agree, since he was actually a pretty big fan of that Grasshopper build. But these builds are pretty similar, except the Crab is exchanged for one of the Vulcans. And yeah, it's 3 Grasshoppers, all with those medium laser setups. It's the Crab with medium pulse lasers, Vulcan 5T with medium pulse lasers, and Chortles in his Commando 1D. So 228's running almost the exact same setup. Meanwhile, Mercstar is running a full brawl setup. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this. I think they might try something that Isengrim actually tried in the WC, in essentially the MWOWC last season. They essentially wanted to go around the map to cap the outer perimeter cap points, and then kind of start a fight in the pockets around Epsilon to draw the team away from the center of the map to try and outcap Imperial. Sadly, it didn't work, but it was still a good attempt. Isengrim almost outcapped them, but it looks like that Mercstar is just kind of moving their main brawl group, their 2 lights around the map, and right now it seems like 228 IBR currently has a mech overwatching that Sigma point, trying to see if mechs jump on it. It's a lone Vulcan. I'm not liking this because, I mean, I'm liking it better.
It might be fast enough to get out of there if something does happen. It doesn't. Does he even have? Yeah, he doesn't look like he even has a line of sight on the point necessarily. He's probably just waiting there
for the point to get capped. Yeah, I believe that seems like the most logical reasoning behind this, because as you said, he's got no sight. He might even be planning to drop a strike if it comes down to that.
Yeah, 228 has to know something's up now though, because they've just sitting their heavy mechs kind of out in the middle of the map, and they haven't seen anything yet.
And here we go. Tofurky's dropping a UAV. It looks like that he might be trying to take a look on Sigma, see what's going on there. And the Vulcan's starting to fire. Old School and Weapon W are going on Tofurky, who ate a pretty strong alpha there. All those medium lasers are making some serious contact. Strikes are getting dropped. Thankfully, it hasn't hit any of the lights this time. Artillery strike dropped on the Vulcan. Not much happening there. Weapon W and Old School Cav just kind of trading with Tofurky. He's eating quite a bit of damage, 89% in this light trade. And it looks like the light fight may be on. Tofurky's 89%, interestingly enough, is only in one arm, and it looks like it doesn't have any weapons. So this is all good damage that he's taking.
Chortles is here now too. I don't think Weapon W knows he's here.
Strike fell on Tofurky right now. Chortles is starting to eat a lot of damage. Disco called hold. I don't think
this is
really
in the rules.
That.
Yes, I believe once a minute's passed, or as long as damage has been done, and clearly quite a bit has been done, you can't call a hold. I don't know.
Weapon W in Old School Cav, however, are honoring the hold.
Yeah, that's nice of them. I'm not. See what happens. I don't know who's disconnected. I can't quite see myself.
I mean, looking at the ISC rule books, I'm pretty sure you're right, Toaster. I don't think you can call a hold at this, but we'll just check it anyway to make sure that we've got everything down. But yeah, this is pretty admirable by Mercstar that they're honoring this, because normally teams would not honor this. They would play onward, and it makes sense because, within the first minute of play and before a mech is destroyed or a point is capped, the team will call a hold in all chat and report the situation. Both teams will stop immediately. Yeah, if a player... Yeah, like
This is outside of normal rules, but if these teams are okay with it, I guess I won't say anything. But I don't know who's disconnected and whether they're gonna be able to reconnect. Obviously, if they can't reconnect it, they should still play it out. Looks like Morticia's saying something about a mulligan, but the rules are pretty clear on this.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, it's best to leave it up to the teams in the end.
All right, well, Mercstar's being generous, I think. Should probably maybe drag the team leaders into our office. before we restart, just so we can clarify what the rules are with them.
I mean, they could pretty much read the. I mean, they could read the rules themselves. I think that at the end of the day, yeah, I think at the end of the day, if the team leaders are okay with the redrop, which they are, then we can't really deny them. And calling things out on a technicality is not necessarily the best thing.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we've got some team killing has begun. Oberfear ready to kill Pickled Axe. Make sure one team. Just have to monitor these mechs, make sure they don't change.
However, at the same time, this could still be a disadvantage towards Mercstar, since their builds may very well be exposed. So 228 might actually know what's up, but
well, I mean they're Roughneck 3As, but not having seen them, you can't really know whether they're Impulse or ER larges. So we'll find out.
I mean, even still, like that's it's worth noting that, like, at the same time, with their movements, and perhaps you're right because these teams aren't as experienced, but I know that if it was me on the other side, seeing all those Roughnecks, knowing that they weren't trading at all, and knowing the strategy that they were kind of adopting, which is run around the map, I would definitely say they were going Brawl. Like, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there was smoke at the outer cap points away from the away from the popular trading positions.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a weird situation we've got ourselves here, Saruman. We always manage to find ourselves in these. First with the crab battle, and now at this match. But
the rules say that this disconnect needed
to be played out
before mech is destroyed or a point is capped. So originally, if the other team wasn't happy about it, if Mercstar wasn't honorable about it, they could continue playing anyway, and their mechs could have immediately kept going on to that Vulcan and whatnot. We have seen teams play on before with disconnects. You know, I do believe that.
And the other Mercstar match, and Mercstar versus DSAG, one player disconnected and reconnected mid-match, and they played it through. There was no hold or anything there.
Exactly. So this is definitely something that's a little unorthodox, and we can admire Mercstar for that. This is their first foray in their comp, and they're definitely making a statement on their chivalry, that's for sure. Game is over, and 228 wins. On to the next match. No, I'm just joking. Not gonna fault Mercstar for that. That was a pretty bro move by them.
Oh, you're gonna have to kick Pickled Axe since he is the team leader on their side, and he is also the disconnect.
Yep.
Looks like Pickled Axe will be in here. I don't know. You can invite him, or Roscoe can. Two mins.
That's what the rules say.
Okay,
Within 2 minutes of the redrop, it's gotta go.
All right, so Pickled Axe is back in here. They should be getting readied up real quickly here. No changing mechs, none of that. What a night. First a radio cast, now this. Oh my goodness.
This is the night of gaffes, it seems, but
oh well, looks like both teams are ready. Weapon W says his team's ready.
Then let's go. We have to launch this. Go. Viewers smell blood in the water, and they need it.
Yeah, they're out for us. Oh no.
They're not out for us. They're out for them.
I don't know. I think they're out for me.
They might be out for you, unfortunately. That's very true.
I've changed the scene, though. We see MechWarrior online only.
Mm-hmm.
I need one of those setups like RJ has, where he has like 1,000 monitors, but he has like one right in front of him above his normal monitor. That way my OBS is always within my vision.
All right, and I believe that according to the rules, you do not get another redrop. This has to be played out. Yeah, that the redrop cannot be redropped again. So if Pickle Dax loses power again, 228 is going to have to eat this one as a loss.
Well, they can try and win without him. They don't have to take it as a loss. They're just going to have to play with a disconnect or hope that he gets back in time.
Very true. Very, very true. But the way this is going and how competitive these matches have been, it definitely feels like 228 is going to need all their players in order to come out against Mercstar. That first drop, they came out swinging. And apart from a couple of little issues, they were playing very well. And now it seems like 228 going once again for the Sigma Kappa split. Meanwhile, Mercstar once again going for the tried and true strategy of doing death balling, brawling, and going for the outer points. Right now they're moving towards Kappa. Weapon W, Sky Captain, Ramen, Arisen, Old School Cav, Heigl, all trying to make their names in competitive. Those roughneck 3As with 7 medium pulse lasers ready to brawl anything that stands in front of them. Meanwhile, 228 IBR going with their 3 grasshoppers with the combination of medium and ER large laser mechs, the Vulcan 5T with medium pulses, Pickle Dax with his crab filled with medium pulses, and Chortles in his Commando 1D, which has a little booster pack on him. Probably makes him wish he could fly, because you know what? The Commando could definitely use for some jump jets, that's for sure.
I mean, with bolt-ons like that, I think his mech must go faster than default.
I mean, you did say that red makes you go faster in our fashion show, so
that is true.
That's always a possibility. Yep. Right now, movements are being made, lights are in front, and this is interesting and terrible at the same time. 228 is putting 4 mechs up at the Sigma point in anticipation for what they believe Mercstar will do. They've
been spotted though. Oberfuhrer gets a strike dropped on him, and his grasshopper manages to avoid most of it. Good old artillery RNG. So it looks like Old School Cav knows they're there. They're probably gonna have to adapt their strategy somehow to play around this.
And that was a good call, too, because that would have been a very nasty setup to push into by Mercstar, especially since there was a lot of range that those teams could have taken advantage of. But it looks like Mercstar is continuing to move on Sigma. This is interesting. Maybe they see this as an opportunity they could take advantage of and just brawl the hell out of whatever's at Sigma already.
Well,
maybe try and use terrain to hide their mechs a little more. I'm not sure what they're doing.
It looks like they've stopped just short of this corner, with the Javelin being the only real one to reveal his mechs. Yeah, the Roughnecks have now turned around. Looks like they're going to just maybe sit themselves back in that pocket where they were last match.
But even so, this doesn't seem to make much sense since the scouting report was out earlier and they had a chance to...
Yeah, this is a long distance though to be traveling. Even if you have the brawl advantage against these grasshoppers, you might be better off trying, now that you've seen them over here, just cut through the middle and go through the tanks, through the little buildings, and then kind of into the side of 228 where you have a much better approach.
And it looks like that they might be taking your advice, actually, since right now it looks like that their Roughnecks are moving towards Epsilon, maybe trying to swoop in and around through Epsilon, but at the same time, all that's there is a light presence, a Commando 1D and a Vulcan 5T, and right now, it just seems like the Roughnecks are on the move. The lights are putting Overwatch on Epsilon, I guess to see if there's a scouting report from 228 that indicates where the Roughnecks are, and right now it doesn't seem like 228 has any clue where the main body of Mercstar is, because they still have 2 Grasshoppers overwatching Sigma. That's 140 tons not committed elsewhere. That is almost half the tonnage of the drop put on 1 point. And right now, Roughnecks marching in.
Looks like Chortles has probably seen them by now. If I were him, I'd be getting out of here. I don't know why he's exactly hanging around. Maybe he figures he hasn't been seen so they won't push him. But
for a second, I thought he was moving in. I was thinking maybe he didn't see them by some miracle, but no, he definitely sees them, I think.
He's put up a UAV, but they've spotted the UAV, and they're kind of turning towards him. They might try and chase him off here a little bit, but they're never going to catch that Commando, not in those Roughnecks. Now,
I think the Roughnecks just need to go towards Sigma. They need to jump on that heavy body and bring this fight to a swift conclusion. Them chasing these light mechs is not going to be doing this team any favors. The Wolfhound and the Javelin need to put some damage down on that Crab. They need to kind of get out of the firing line of the Vulcan 5T, maybe moving to the left side on the wall, away from his fire, and the Crab is eating a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it looks like they're focusing his right leg, so he could be kind of caught out here soon. The Roughnecks are kind of continuing to move up. They've started to ignore the Chortles and his Commando think they might just get that one javelin or someone to kind of keep Chortles off the back of these Roughnecks while they continue to push. 228's not in a great position to receive this right now either. They've kind of spread their Grasshoppers out some, but they're still going to be in awfully close range as soon as these Roughnecks get in there.
Yep, and it looks like that Mercstar is going to put trust that the 4 Roughnecks can defeat the 5 mechs from 228. Admittedly enough, if they can bring down Pickledax quickly and early, then they might be correct. One of his legs being open means that he will be killed easily. Morticia Malin in the Grasshopper 5P is at the very top of the hill on Rimplexus, and right now the fire's coming in. I repeat, the fire's coming in. Looks like the Roughneck 3As are focusing the crab first. They want to bring it out immediately. That might not be the best target. 228's trying to drop strikes on the push, and the Roughnecks are kind of scattering their focus fire all over the place. Pickledax looks like he's going to go down soon, 49%, and this might be a quick kill by Mercstar. Pickledax down 39%, and he's legged. Good kill by Mercstar, but now they really need to get on these Grasshoppers. They cannot allow these Grasshoppers to get any further percentage advantage in this fight. Yep. Weapon W in his Wolfhound getting in on the Grasshoppers, trying to do as much damage as possible. Oberfjord, 74%. He's getting wrecked right now, 66%. A lot of that is center torso. He's going to go down soon. Back shots coming in from Old School Cav. I love this movement. The Arisen, however, is getting shot like crazy, 51%. Heigl and Sky Captain need to get Roscoe down. What are you guys doing? You have to kill him. Stop shooting other mechs. Just kill the Grasshopper. And right now, Tofurky and the Vulcans also dashing in and around trying to grab the attention of the Roughnecks. But Roscoe's alive for way too long. He needs to die.
So is the Arisen. The Arisen tanking through like that initial push and manages to walk his way all the way back up. Looks like Tofurky's next in that Vulcan.
And Roscoe and the Arisen, after we said it, finally died. Thank goodness. Tofurky and his Vulcan dropping like a fly. Morticia Malin just still up top. Now they looks like Mercstar sees her, and they're going to go after her. Morticia Malin trying to use jump jets to kind of, I guess, save her mech a little bit. Drop the strike. Once again, Mercstar does not see this artillery strike. Heigl takes a big hit right there. Mech goes from 78 to 65. That's a lot of nasty percentage that he lost. But Morticia Malin looks like that she's just going to sit and eat the shots and drop. And now all that's left now is Chortles.
Yeah, Chortles was off capping Gamma. He started to make his way back, but by then it was only Morticia left, so he can't really do anything. There's no way he's going to win that fight 1v5. So now he's got to try and somehow kind of stave off a cap win, but with 12 minutes still left to go and all of the lights on the side of Mercstar still alive, it's going to be a very rough fight for him if he wants to try and win it for his team. He's relatively fresh. He has taken a fair bit of damage, though, when he was initially kind of picking on those Roughnecks as they crossed. But Mercstar is also kind of splitting their mechs across the map. Old School Cav headed over to Kappa to grab that point. The rest of their mechs kind of spreading out. I hope they don't start grabbing Theta, because looks like one of them's headed there.
It is worth noting that both of the Light's legs are pretty badly damaged. Weapon W and his Wolfhound 2.
Although, look, Weapon W is about to engage, it seems.
He's engaging Chortles right now. This fight is not exactly favorable to him at all. ER mediums, plus it's a commando close range, and he's not exactly using his ER mediums to the fullest. Chortles managing to skillfully use terrain, twisting his way like crazy. Weapon W is in the Wolfhound. It's a taller mech, it's a hotter mech, and it's a mech that doesn't have as much.
And he gets legged.
Weapon W gets legged, and he's going to die. Ooh, this is not good right now. It seems like 228 could once again pull out another win based on Chortles, but Chortles is taking a very long time. Weapon W doing some great leg shielding. Chortles just can't find the way to kill him. And he finally goes down, not even by a leg shot, by getting his rear center. So Chortles manages to keep Kappa under 228's control. And I don't know, 228 at the end of this may very well have it's down to 1 cap though. 228 would have to hold on for what is it? I want to say
about
160
4 minutes.
Seconds? No, I wouldn't say 4 minutes. No,
it's a little under 2. I guess about
under 3, I'd say. Little under 3. But right now, Ramen for the win in the healthy Roughneck. There we go. Firepower being brought back. And if Ramen can pretty much end Chortles here and now, game's over. And even then, it'll be an uphill battle for Chortles to really hold on to the point. That was a good kill on the Wolfhound, but it looks like Chortles is staying to fight. Not exactly the smartest decision. He could continue to facilitate the cap game, but he's not going to. He's going to take on the Roughneck, it looks like, or if he is, he's very late in getting out. Takes a lot of shots he didn't need to take, but he's still fighting. Yeah, this is some...
And Mercstar also has another Roughneck on the way, so Chortles, he needs to either finish this really quick or get out of here before that other guy shows up.
He opens the rear center on the Roughneck, but at the same time, the rest of the Roughneck's perfectly healthy. That rear center is the only thing that Chortles can probably shoot and get anything done. Commando definitely showing its tankiness right now, however. Chortles is just dodging, dipping, ducking, and diving like the people on Dodgeball, a true underdog story, and he finally goes down after a Roughneck and a Javelin was brought in for the assist. And this match looks like it's going to go to Mercstar. Very solid win. Good push on Sigma Point.
Yeah, well played on their part. I do know, I understand, we talked about, why didn't they just push those grasshoppers when they saw them earlier? But I do think their choice to kind of go back, double back around, and take maybe a longer route, but also I think a much safer route to get to them was the right decision. Those Roughnecks are just way tankier than those grasshoppers are ever going to be, despite how long it took to kill some of the 228 necks.
And looking at the damage, the Arisen seemed to be the focus target for 228, but it didn't really matter anyway. He did 180 damage, fairly decent for the first guy that gets focused in a brawl. Sky Captain 407, Ramen for the win 540, Heigl 505. Excuse me. And yeah, just what do you see on?
So 228. Yeah, Brosco doing a lot in the Grasshopper. It's 487, but Oberfuhrer, only 136. Not really what you're looking for. They had those Grasshoppers with the mix of ER large and ER mediums. I think, just kind of in the hopes that they'd be better than pure ER larges for stopping a push, but it didn't quite work out. And it seemed like they hung a little bit too close on that point. I know you want to stop them from capping it, but when those mechs are coming through there, they stayed so close to that little entry valley. I think that wasn't quite the right choice. You could almost move your mechs. Let me go over to the map strat here. You could almost have moved those grasshoppers all the way down into E10, F10 once your commando had spotted them, right? If you can cover that point safely from E10. If your Commando and Crab and all those guys see that they're coming in through there, then they have to make another choice. Do we want to stay and try and get Sigma while we're getting blasted, or do we try and double back around, play a little bit of peekaboo and just position your longer range mechs just up and down this corridor?
It's also worth noting that even though the scouting information was gained by 228, they knew that the Roughnecks were pretty much moving around this area and making a thrust over by the D8 side. They really didn't shuffle any of their mechs that way seriously. You had Morticia up here in Delta 8. You had other grasshoppers kind of spread out around this Sigma line around here, but there's really no way to get a firing angle on that location. That's a big no-no. So it seemed like that the positioning was just really not proper on 228's side, and Mercstar was really only getting torn up by one grasshopper on the initial entry. Like, once they passed this point here, they were getting shot by all three, but they really took no damage from any of these points whatsoever, and there are definitely some angles that grasshoppers can take, maybe perching up on these angles over here, maybe getting a little close to this position here to poke down that corridor. The grasshoppers just played way too conservative, sitting out here, not really taking advantage of their DPS. And then you have the Vulcan and the Commando. They really didn't coordinate that well together. They definitely could have done more damage in the end, but
the Commando was never there. He went off to Gamma to cap that and was basically capping for the entire fight. And
I'm sorry, I meant the Crab and the Vulcan.
Yeah, the Crab. Yeah, the Crab just took, I think Pickled Axes and the Crab, he just took way too much damage just trying to get back up in there with his heavies. He had to cross E7 in front of basically all those Roughnecks and the two lights on Mercstar, and it seemed like he was probably already legged by the time he even kind of made it into the safety.
And it's like, that's kind of the issue that happens with these kinds of drops. You know, the Crab, he was kind of trying to play a bit of a scouting mech as well, kind of playing a medium-light hybrid, but the Crab really isn't suited to that role, and I think this comes down to 228's mech choices, you know. They're playing pretty well. Chortles did a very admirable job in the light fight. 228's team was kind of moving pretty well. They were shooting decently. Morticia did decent amount of damage that game, along with guys like Roscoe, but at the same time, it feels like that these mech choices are just very debatable. I mean, sure, you have the Commando 1D, it's a fierce light dueler, but it felt like that there were other mechs there that could have done just as well. You could have played a Wolfhound, you know, you could have tried your luck with maybe even the Firestarter if you really wanted a lot of damage, not suggesting the Firestarter, but you definitely could have poured out way more damage output than that, or you could have went with more Vulcans and tunned down another Grasshopper to get a bit more damage in the Light Lance, but the Commando was chosen, that's the pick they made. Can't really fault it, it did work, but at the same time there could have been other choices in the Crab. I don't know why they didn't went with the Vulcans. You only have a 5 mech limit. They definitely had more Vulcan 5Ts in their arsenal available to play that drop, but instead they went with the Crab. It was just kind of, it didn't make much sense with what 228 wanted to do with their strategy.
Yeah, I think part of it too might be just come down to pilot preference, and these lower divisions where people don't probably have as much experience. You know, from looking up Chortle's data from Martial Olympiad, he had like almost all of his games where he was in a light, he was in a commando of one type or another. So maybe it's just his pet mech. I know Pickle Dax also played quite a few games in Martial Olympiad and his Crab, so that might be another choice. They could also be saving some of their Vulcans for these later drops. I know we talked about yesterday how kind of strong and important jump jets were on Canyon, especially if you're trying to do some sort of pushy strat. So it could be a multitude of reasons. Crab did seem a little weird, but I'm not willing to write it off yet as a wrong choice. Maybe he needed to position it a little bit better so he didn't get lose so much health crossing there, but.
Very true. At the same time, it definitely feels like the Vulcan could have done what the Crab did and maybe survived because he could have used his jump jets to kind of feather out some of the damage. But once again, it just seems like, this is more experience on display. These teams are definitely getting their licks, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And overall, the games haven't been that bad. They've been very entertaining. They're pretty close. The roughneck push was very ballsy. Props to Mercstar for kind of taking a page out of their father team's book, or their mother teams, whichever one Kamichiwa wants to be referred to as, and just kind of going in with medium pulse lasers. I mean, they didn't do it in 5 Crabs, so it's not as memey, but at the same time, the strategy holds true, and the spirit of the deck was instilled very much with all the medium pulse lasers that Mercstar was trying to throw on the table.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, no DACA, though. But at 325 tons between 6 players, I don't think we're going to be seeing a King Crab for a while, and we might not even be seeing much DACA. So far, we haven't casted many matches, so perhaps we're out of the loop, but much of the DACA we've seen was like in an LB-10 here, and a Shadowhawk, or maybe
with these size teams,
something else a little here. It's been mostly lasers.
Yeah, with these size teams, like we said the other day, only 54-ish tons average per pilot. It's really hard to fit some DACA mechs in here, especially when, it's hard to take DACA if you're in a mech that's, less than 70 tons, especially if you want to bring DACA well. The Blood Asp, one of the most popular DACA mechs from Martial Olympiad, 90 tons, Ultraviolet, 100 tons, Night Gear's 75, but AC2s are a little harder to work into drops that you expect to be moving a lot faster just because of the lighter tonnages across the board. The Night Gear, it does well when it can sit in a spot and put down DPS, but when it has to start moving, trying to keep up with rotations, that sort of thing, Night Gear can be pretty unwieldy.
Definitely, and we can't even see the Night Gear anyway because I believe it's a clan.
Oh, right. No, Night Gear is, so yeah, that's even more restricting. I guess you could bring a Black Widow. What are the IS DACA mechs? Black Widow, Annihilators. You maybe put in Sleipnir, but that's no heroes. So no, maybe MX90 and
you could bring Maulers, you could bring Annihilators. You just have to sacrifice a lot to get one on the field. That's for sure.
That's definitely a third of your team's tonnage.
Exactly. So gonna have to run a couple of locusts and fleas perhaps to make up for all the tonnage that the Annihilator or the Mauler gobbles up, but it's still a choice. You could even go Victor. You could even experiment a bit with the Highlander. Maybe even try a Cataphract here or there. Not saying it's gonna work, but that's a mech that definitely has some DACA weapon pods. Unfortunately, a little bit out of the loop as far as DACA heavies on the IS side go, mainly because we've been seeing so much DACA on the clan side be focused in mechs like the Mad Cat Mark II.
Yeah, yeah. But
however, Warhammer, Gauss rifles, not exactly DACA, but it is
one of them has no. Wait, which side are you seeing this Gauss Warhammer on?
We saw it last game, and we might be seeing it this game since Roscoe is in a Warhammer 6R. He doesn't have Gauss rifles, but he does have 2 LB10s with 6 medium lasers in his Warhammer 6R. It looks like Oberfuhr is bringing the Warhammer 6D with, I want to say 9 medium pulse lasers. Wow, that thing's going to be putting out a ton of damage. Pickle Dex is 2 MRM30s in the Quick Draw 4H. Very interesting build. That's kind of a quick play favorite. Also used to be pretty good in Solaris. And the Assassin Hit Squad, 3 SRM6s with Artemis, Morticia Malin bringing that as well, 3 Assassins. So this drop is definitely much more brawl focused for 228th IBR. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mercstar is definitely more range. ER, mediums, and large lasers in the Grasshopper 5Ps. Holy bajolies, that's going to be super hot. I don't know what he's thinking. Large lasers and ER medium, large lasers as well. What? Was that mediums? Oh, that's ER mediums. Okay, wow. Okay, I'm misreading. Okay,
it's
so
the same build basically. The 228 brought last match. It's just
instead it has large lasers in ER mediums. So
okay. So not ER larges.
Yeah, no, ER mediums and larges. I misread. Thank goodness. I was about to be like, what the heck are you guys doing? And they have a light lance down here, 2 Javelin 11As and a Vulcan 5T. Looks like they're just capping around, and 228's trying to find the main body of Mercstar to hopefully brawl to death.
Mercstar's lights are awfully split right now. They can't grab Sigma either. They need to be awfully careful about leaving their assaults and heavies to die over here. It looks like the Battlemaster and 2 Grasshoppers might just get pushed by 228 here.
This is definitely a bit too wide of a flank. I'm not enjoying what these lights are doing, especially since there's still a Warhammer looking over at Epsilon. That is a cap that's a kill that definitely could happen. However, that could also just be a DC since that Warhammer hasn't moved at all.
The lights have now begun to engage Pickle Dax in his 4H here. This 2 Javelins kind of scratching him with lasers from a distance. They're definitely playing a dangerous game here. Ramen comes flying over the corner in his Vulcan too.
The damage coming out is not insignificant at all. Pickle Dax at 79%. Right now, his shoulders really messed up. His right shoulder is orange internals from the rear, and it looks like that things are not going well. 228th is stuck in this pit right now. Warhammer 6D from Oberfuhr is trying to bring some medium pulse lasers to shade, and Roscoe just got back to the game, so his Warhammer 6D looks like he's back in the fight. Ramen for the win in the Vulcan. Bug Killer out in the front. Grasshopper's 5Ps taking a lot of hits, but the Arisen's the one that's really getting beat up. He's bringing a lot of ER large lasers at close range. This Assassin Hit Squad is doing a brilliant job poking up and down off the hill, not taking a lot of damage, and now it's up to the lights to kind of respond to this. Heigel's getting way too close. Those medium pulses are going to hurt. Bug Killer brings down Pickle Dax. Very good shot. Manages to bring the Grasshopper. I suppose it was an XL mech since his shoulder was super weak.
Yep.
And now Tofurky and the Assassin 23 is trying to poke the other side. Oberfuhr is getting worked by the other team, and we're seeing Roscoe finally make his presence known in this game. However, it might be a bit late. Oberfuhr down 55%. Looks like the lights may finish him, but Roscoe's trying to save his buddy Oberfuhr, and Heigl eats a nasty alpha in the back. Goes from 70 to 58. Oh my goodness, that hurt. Tofurky goes down. Oberfuhr goes down as well.
And the Arisen, the Battlemaster 2C for Mercstar, has also gone down. Now they lose another Grasshopper and Bug Killer. He's getting mobbed by these Assassins. They tried to take out this Warhammer that was kind of stuck in the pit, but they've kind of left their heavies to die and now are overcommitted.
Hit Squad's on the move, however. Roscoe manages to make his presence felt. He was disconnected, but he was already key in 2 very important kills for 228. They're bringing this game back, amazingly enough. Ramen for the win, trying to separate from the rest of the team, get some range. Meanwhile, Rionok just trying to put down as much large laser / ER medium laser fire as he can. Weapon W brings down Roscoe, evening the game up. Mercstar has the percentages in the bag, but even still, 228 can pull this out. This Assassin hit squad is super deadly. Morticia Malian trying to drop some missiles on the Vulcan. He's down 47%. He goes down. Weapon W and Reenact, however, are pretty fresh. These Assassins need to group together and stay together. Chortles, however, gets legged, and it looks like the Assassins are going to get picked off one by one. Weapon W chasing Morticia Malin around. Tofurky needs to jump on Weapon W with Morticia. However, it looks like that Weapon W is taking the safe route. With
Weapon W overheats, though, shuts down. They need to kind of pull their focus back together. It seems like Mercstar got a little bit split on their focus targets now that they've regrouped, so we'll see if that helps them.
Looking at the ammunition, can the Assassins even pull it off? And it looks like it's going to be a hard play to make. Tofurky's only has one salvo left of SRMs. Morticia Malin has all her ammunition for sure, so the onus is going to be on her to pull the game out. Tofurky looks like he's just taking damage, down 24%. That's an amazing damage spread right there. Good job, Tofurky. And Reenact and Weapon W are just staying at range, utilizing their lasers to their fullest potential, and meanwhile Tofurky and Morticia Malin are probably just thinking to themselves, how are we going to get out of this one?
Yeah, they don't really want to engage, but they might have to just because this Javelin can outrun them. And, slowly I think the Mercstar mechs will probably start trying to kind of pull angles.
And it looks like Weapon W brings down Tofurky, and the match is all on Morticia Malin's shoulders. And Weapon W says he's having none of this. He wants to finish this game. And Morticia Malin
that was a great burn by Weapon W on Morticia's side torso. I have to say, I was spectating him just there. It was perfect.
So 228 was the victim of yet another disconnect, this time in Roscoe. That was a lot of tonnage lost, but it was still a great attempt at a comeback. Roscoe rear shot one of the lights, pretty much killed him, and then did a lot of damage to some other mechs. So even though he was DC'd late, he made his presence felt, but I guess it was too little too late. Assassin Hit Squad got mobbed to death, and I think in the end the biggest problem was that they allowed Reenact in his quick draw 5H to just get the range he needed to shade out the brawl and put out all his damage. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the MVP. And he isn't, amazingly enough. That goes to Weapon W. 559 damage, 3 kills. Very well played. 473 damage and zip kills from Heigl, but even still, very major contributor. English is hard. Vulcan 5T, 401 damage. The Arisen Battlemaster 2C was the first focus, 129. Bug Killer, 201 damage in his Grasshopper. And Reenact, 445. This was the story, essentially, of basically Mercstar's heavies being sacrificed to the grinder so the lights could do most of the work, except Reenact, who managed to bow out early. But look at Chortles, man. 800 damage almost, 2 kills.
Yeah.
Almost salvaged the match out. Morticia Malin, 177. Definitely did not put her assassin to the fullest advantage that he could. Tofurky, 385. And look at Roscoe. Despite his late entry, 1 kill, 235 damage, 3 assists. So he definitely was part of that battle in the end, despite missing out on the initial engagement.
Yeah, it just seemed like a weird engagement for a 228. They could have, I think, picked those heavies and assaults. The Mercstar Lights did manage to make it back pretty early on into the fight, but I don't know, just because of the routing that 228 took, they kind of got caught in that canyon and those Warhammers without jump jets. They needed to find a ramp to make it up. Instead, they were just getting shot from the side by the lights and shot from above by the Battlemaster and Grasshoppers.
Yes, but at the end of the day, the Assassins were still doing a very good job poking. They were basically trying their best to salvage it out, and that was a very good engagement. They got a lot of damage on the Grasshoppers early, and at the end, it's just, it wasn't enough, just not enough damage coming out from the other Assassins. And even though the pokes were coming out very well from the Assassins, they were kind of JJing up and down on the low end of the canyon very well. That's why they managed to basically end the Grasshopper and the Battlemaster without taking too much damage. At the end of the day, Reenact pulling back and the lights putting out as much DPS as they did meant that at the end of the day, the Assassins really weren't able to utilize that as much. They still took a lot of damage, and they weren't able to carry the game.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Maybe, I don't know. I think just maybe slightly better pathing on the side of 228, and you could have easily seen that go kind of other ways. Maybe just kind of lack of experience and how they chose to get in there. I'm pretty sure they knew, the Mercstar heavies and that one assault were kind of up on radio tower, but maybe they just didn't quite know all the ramps to kind of get up to them from where they were. There are a lot of ramps on that part of the map that I think people are unaware of, just because you regularly in group or in solo and group queue, you just straight up stay out of that little valley.
Definitely. But I mean, overall, the Lights did a great job at the beginning of Mercstar. It seemed like they were out of position at the beginning, but they managed to bring the game back. That was pretty awesome.
It made such a wide flank. I'm over on the cap. Like, it almost seemed like they were going for Sigma, which you can't even cap on a 3-cap conquest. But they managed to make it over, kind of come back across the Theta, and started putting shots kind of down this valley where 228 ended up. And then I guess as soon as that started happening, the rest of the Merc Star heavies and assaults, they just knew, oh, we can come up here and take this ledge from 228 who's all stuck in the canyon, and just kind of shoot down on them like fish in a barrel.
Yeah, I mean, if that's kind of what happened. I mean, that's the disadvantage of being down low, and it also didn't help that the Warhammers, they don't have jump jets. Like, they have to go up specific ramps, so especially when you have a little bit more experience under your belt, you know where the Warhammers are going to come up, and you know what to pre-fire. It's kind of like in Counter-Strike, where when you look at certain maps, you know the expected lanes, and you're able to get a little extra fire at the beginning. And it's also similar to, games like PUBG, Apex Legends. When you expect people to come from certain positions, and they come up from those certain positions, you're going to win that gunfight 99.9% of the time.
Yep. But as you said, the Assassins, they did try valiantly. They were doing a good job of pop-targeting up on their ridge. You even saw Chortles kind of go up and start using this radio tower mountain that Mercstar had kind of moved out from. And they were doing a good job of kind of jumping up around there, making it hard for themselves to hit. But when they did do that, that was kind of free reign for the Mercstar Lights to be even more aggressive and come down there and take out those Warhammers.
Yeah, and you know what? All intents and purposes, it was still a very good game, and it seemed like that Mercstar might be able to pull it out in the end, but we'll see what happens in Game 4 since they are ready. All I can say is I'm hyped up at that game. That was really good.
Wonder what mech adjustments Omi made, and maybe 228 will bring a few more jump jet mechs. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
We're loading in. Scene has switched.
Jump jets are very strong on Canyon, although they're not 100% necessary. It's definitely, especially in a meta where you just want to blow people down. But we'll see what teams bring this time. Looking at the drops, looks like we're seeing Grasshopper, Warhammers, and Battlemasters from Heigl, Reenact, and the Arisen from Mercstar. We definitely want to get in them to see what's inside them. Heigl, ER large lasers, the Arisen Warhammer 6R looks like he's bringing 2 Gauss rifles, 4 ER medium lasers. We saw some Mercstar pilots do some real work with that build.
Yeah, they've done well with it both this season, ISC and Morates, and I know we were talking about how well they were doing in that mech. Definitely seems to be one of their favorites.
Reenact bringing the Laser Vomit Grasshopper that served him very well in the last game, and then looking at Oberfjord, 9 medium pulse lasers in his Warhammer 6R. Once again, it's a lot of damage. And it looks like the 2 Warhammer 6Rs of Morticia and Roscoe, 2 LB-10, 6 medium lasers. Those mechs did do some work last game, so definitely something to watch out for. Arisen pounding the team with Gauss rifles at range right now. And it looks like that they really don't have a response from this. Pickledax is in his Crab, Crab 27 SL, Chortles Assassin 23, Tofurky Commando 1D, taking the commandos away from Chortles. That's an interesting choice. But Pickledax is eating a lot of damage right now. Really should not be eating this down 87%.
Yeah, and he's now dropped into this canyon and is taking even more shots, just kind of YOLOing up there on the Mercstar Lights. That seems like maybe a bit of a mistake on his part. I'm not sure he wanted to make that movement. But now it looks like the call's been made for them to start pushing on Mercstar.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, we're seeing basically Mercstar getting Zerged rushed by the Crab and the Assassin. Warhammer 6Ds coming up. Ramen for the wins, trying to shade outside the Brawl to try and tank as much damage. Pickledax, however, at 75%, he's eating a lot of damage. The light mechs on Mercstar are starting to pull back. Heigl, however, is starting to eat some LBX. But these LBX mechs do not want to shoot this at range. You need to get in there to see the full power of the LBX scene.
Yeah. It was weird that they pushed on the Mercstar Lights. definitely want to be pushing on that Battle Master and the Arisen, but it looks like Arisen might be next. He hasn't made it across the land bridge, so he might just be stuck here to die for the rest of the match.
And right now, 228's mechs are continuing to be beat up. Morticia Malin, Warhammer 6R, is starting to expose. And if the... Oh my goodness, look at this Mercstar salvo. That was brutal right now. Morticia Malin down 57%. Pickledax 61%. Strike dropped on Roscoe and Oberfuhrer. Roscoe's backing up. He's away from the fight once again, and he can't even say he's DC'd this time. This is not good. Right now, however, the Arisen's getting jumped on by Oberfuhrer. Trolls is joining the fight. Chortles gets a kill, but Weapon W kills Oberfuhrer, so right now the match is 1-1, but the percentages are very much in favor of Mercstar. This was a delayed push on 228's part, and it's going to cost them.
Yeah, these mechs have been just kind of sitting over here farming for most of the match while 228 kind of is getting kited by the Mercstar lights, but now they're kind of in there. Tofurky had been fighting, I want to mention the assassin on the side of Mercstar, but took a lot of damage and eventually had to just kind of abandon that fight.
Yep, and right now it's basically just cleanup duty. Roscoe isolated himself from the main fight by going over the other side of the hill to avoid the airstrike instead of pushing through that like Oberfuhrer did, and it kind of cost the team since they were down 5 in a crucial brawl situation where they needed all the armor they could get. But even still, he was trying to conserve. As much points as he could, so you can't really blame him.
Yep, but Mercstar takes it, and I was wrong. He was not fighting a Mercstar assassin. He was fighting a javelin, I believe. Oops. Or maybe it was a Vulcan. I'm not sure. Whatever Tofurky was fighting off on the other side of the map, he took a beating and kind of had to abandon it. It was a little weird push there by 228. Maybe just inexperience. You definitely don't want to be pushing the lighter elements of Mercstar, even though, you know, the heavier elements are definitely in a position that's hard to get to. What do you see from these damage numbers?
What I'm seeing is the push being disjointed. They definitely did get the Arisen down. He only did 230 damage in his Warhammer 6R. Rhea also got taken out a little early too with 222 damage. 377, 315, and 219 from Ramen FTW and his Vulcan. Weapon W 315 and his Javelin. He's actually playing very well in that mech right now. Old School Cav 219 and the Javelin 11A. And meanwhile on the side of 228, only 2 mechs broke over 200 damage. That's Chortles and the Assassin 23 and Tofurky and the Commando 1D. They just ate too much damage. This push was too slow. The ball did not get rolling enough, and there were definitely mechs that pulled out and away from the brawl. That's something that you cannot do, especially when your team's getting beat to hell like that. But at the same time, even when they were close, it felt like that they were just poking way too much with improper weapons. Like, you know, you can't poke with LBXs. They're shotgun shells. You don't poke with a shotgun. You go in, shove it in the dude's face, and blow his head off.
Yeah. It's just kind of, I don't know. We talk about, you know, jump jets being good, and I think that game was just kind of point in case for that thought. You know, it was just they didn't 228 kind of took the long route because they didn't feel like they could get up to where that Battle Master were. You know, we almost saw what is like fairly typical. Like 8v8 kind of strat coming out from Mercstar there. I know a lot of 8v8 matches, teams like to set up, you know, some traders up in that mountain, and if the other team pushes around Epsi or over Theta, you just kind of rotate across that one little bridge and make it real hard for a push tech to get into you if they don't have jump jets to be scaling those canyon walls.
And just looking at the damage spreads, that kind of showed, because the Warhammers didn't do much. They did less than 200 damage. The Warhammers put out tons of damage. You have to make your presence felt with that kind of mech. It's heavy, that's borderline assault, especially with, you know, some of the armor quirks that PGI gave. Well, actually, no, I don't think PGI gave them that serious of armor quirks, but the point is that the weaponry that those things can carry is enormous. The damage they could put out is substantial. You have to use those things to their full ability, and you can't poke with shotguns! Like, I mean, it's just something that feels like it needs to be enforced, but I think that T28's going to learn, especially when they get a grilling from their higher-ups, at least if they ask for said advice, which I believe they will, since these teams definitely feel like that they want to get better.
Yeah.
But what did you see on the map strat, though, Toaster, before we begin the next match?
Okay, going over to the map strat. Let me real quick. Okay, so 228, you know, they did a pretty good job. They marched their guys straight up. Pickle Dax took a lot of damage. I think pretty unnecessary damage as he was crossing over here from Delta 3 to Delta 4. They marched their guys up immediately to Theta, which You see people kind of grouping and fighting on data a lot in solo and group queue, but in competitive queue, I've kind of learned unless you're like a light mech at the very beginning of the match, you never, ever, ever, ever want to go to theta, right? And so 228, they kind of got themselves stuck up here, right? Until Pickle Dax eventually kind of jumped down here, started eating damage, and eventually the rest of his team followed him. But unfortunately, where they were marching, like the only mechs over here in like Delta 5, Charlie 5 were Mercstar's light mechs. They had one Warhammer way back here in Bravo 4, but the rest of their team was mostly over here. So it put 228 in this weird position of they kind of marched over, chased all the light mechs back into Bravo 4. Eventually they jumped down, they killed the one Warhammer who'd kind of wrapped around and got himself in the canyon. But the rest of Mercstar was just kind of free to sit up here and, shoot across and peek up over the ridge when they wanted to, when they felt safe, and blast 228 to the high heavens.
Smithereens.
Yeah.
Tons of little mech chunks, smithereens all over the battlefield. Here. And I would also like to say that the strike placement by Mercstar on the push was actually very good. They dropped some strikes in key locations, such as right here, before the push was made, here as well. Mercstar definitely definitely read the book on how to use strikes to disperse a push before it comes in, and they're playing extremely well right now. I want to say the score is 3-1 in favor of Mercstar, Toast.
Yes it is 3-1 in favor of Mercstar. So
in their very first comp match, Mercstar wins. And you know what? 228 Death from Below isn't a bad team by any means. They almost won Div D and played some pretty decent competition in that division, some older established teams, and did very well for themselves. But at the end of the day, Mercstar has a point to prove, and they want to prove it.
Yep. Please disregard my kill count. Currently, chat, it is way wrong. But before we get into this last match, I just do want to say be active in chat. Once this match is over, we do have some giveaways. I'll have a giveaway for 1,000 MC and 1 mech bay after this final game.
Oh my goodness, we forgot the giveaways.
No, we're doing them after this game. That's what we said.
Okay. Oh, I thought we forgot about them. All right, you gave me a heart attack.
After this game, I've got the tool up. We'll be ready. But
all right,
not until after this game.
Ladies and gentlemen, after this game. Oh my God, Toaster, I got a heart palpitation. Oi, don't do that to me.
Yeah, well, you can't win anyways, so what does it matter?
You don't know that.
Do I, though? Do I? All right, so final drop. We've seen Grim so far, Canyon. Now we're on to the one match of HPG. What will these teams do? You've seen a bit of mix of brawling. I don't know. I wouldn't say we saw brawling like we did the other night. DSAG, I think, they did it right when they were doing brawling. They brought a nice fast deck, so you just ran straight at their opponents and got in there.
But at the same time, they did bring the Street Commando, which definitely hampered their ability to kill Mercstar's mechs. I mean, not the Street Commando, the Street Kentaro. My apologies.
Yep.
Apart from that, though, the deck was very solid, and they played it pretty well. They almost beat Mercstar's meme crab deck, which is actually pretty strong.
Would you take a look at Mercstar's deck this time?
Mercstar's deck now, of course. Wouldn't be Mercstar without a crab deck. Looks like that Weapon W might have been pressured by Kamichiwa in order to run this deck. Kami may have said something along the lines of, if you don't run this deck, we will disband your unit. Who knows? That might be a question we have to ask them. And meanwhile, look at the deck that 228 is running. 5 champions.
This is a mech I wanted to see.
Medium pulse lasers and AC-20s. Well, some of them have AC-20s. Others have LBXs. This is interesting.
Yeah, so I was kind of expecting to see more of this mech in this division. I don't know. I talking to Bowser and some other players. They seem to think it's kind of like an IS linebacker. Maybe not as fast for certainly, and maybe doesn't tank quite as well. But it's got kind of the same role of kind of holding pushes and being able to push itself. But it looks like they might be getting jumped on, right?
We got old school Cav over the top in his crab. He's poking very conservatively. Sky Captain on the other end in his crab 27B. And Sky Captain is very isolated right now. The rest of Mercstar either needs to go in. Actually, they do need to go in. No questions asked, because Sky Captain was taking a lot of damage.
That's 4v3.
Back out. Yes, right now, but Crabs are just not getting as aggressive as they need to be. Roscoe at 87%. Look at the strike drop. Airstrike didn't hit Old School Cab, thank goodness. Otherwise, he would have eaten a load of damage. That was perfectly set up to really engulf him. And we have Sky Captain, HC Magic, and Weapon W on
Roscoe's going in, though.
Isolated. Roscoe, yes, he is going in, and he's probably going to drop. If the focus fire says anything, he goes down very hard, but he self-destructs himself, says, you're not going to get this kill. I'm going to get this kill. Weapon W at 55%, and the brawl is on. Chortles at front, 64%, drops Weapon W. This match is still very close. 5 mechs down to 5. Oberfear gets HC Magic, so right now 228 getting the lead with the champions. The Crabs are trying to take the match back. Tofurky and his Commando 1D trying to isolate some mechs in order to do as much damage as possible. Morticia Malin and Oberfear surround and kill Sky Captain. Meanwhile, the rest of the mechs are just pushing onward to get Old School Cab. Meanwhile, Ambush Schmidt is in the back with his Crab, getting a decent crossfire on them, but right now the mech advantage is very much against Mercstar, and it's further augmented by the loss of Old School Cab. This mech advantage is not in favor of them at all, and I think right now it's just Ambush Schmidt and her Crab, and Obi-Wan Ginobili and his Crab down 60%. There's no way they can really support each other. Chortles, his champion,
they managed to regroup. They're going to maybe try and kill Chortles here, but Tofurky's proving to be a very big annoyance in the back of them.
It turns out that Chortles returns the favor, kills Ambush Schmidt in her Crab, and the game is over. Mercstar loses. Those champions definitely show what they were made of, and 228 did a very good job spreading everything out to the brawl. Good match by 228, but at the end, the decision does, in fact, go to Mercstar. Looking at the damages, Morticia Malin, 457 damage in her champion. Very well played. 560 in Chortles. Very good damage. Roscoe was the first one focused. Still did 213, though. That's admirable. 339 from Oberfear, 368 from Pixel Dex, and 214 from Tofurky. Meanwhile, Ambush Schmidt in her Crab, unfortunately only doing 180. Old School Cab, 425. And the rest of the Crabs hovered anywhere between 200 to 230 damage. So very close damage spread, but at the end of the day, just not enough to win. Mercstar walks away with the win overall, but man, that was a very good brawl push by 228 Death from Below.
Yeah, it seemed like, Mercstar needed to just get in there, like, as soon as they crested that ridge. They only saw 3 champions there. They had the numbers advantage. That might have turned out differently if they had gone straight over like that. But well played from Death from Below, though. Good job bringing the champions. Yeah, go champions. I like that mech.
All right, now let's do giveaways.
All right, we have a giveaway. All right, so chat. In order to have been entered in the giveaway, all you have to have done is be active in chat. I will load the giveaway tool here real quick. I've cranked the volume way down. I'm getting rid of all you mod people. Goodbye, Ash. Goodbye, C-Thrill. Goodbye, Moobot. Goodbye. Oh, I gotta reload it. I accidentally killed not you. Killed whoever has a name very close to yours. Rip that person. But I've reloaded.
I think you should have gotten that person and just let Saruman alone, personally.
Yep. There goes Saruman again. Oh no.
I heard Saruman's gentleman and the scholar. You shouldn't delete him.
So this first giveaway is for 1 mech bay. If you do win, whisper me, do something to get my attention, ping me on Discord. I will join Twitch ASAP. Who is going to win? Nobody knows.
I think Saruman should win, personally.
It's going to be hard for him to win. Brower MWO. Congratulations, Brower. Let me know. Ping me. I don't know. At me. Do something. Get my attention. And I will get you your code.
He's not a bot because he's posting in the chat.
Oh, he is. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to do another giveaway. Going to start the animation. This next giveaway is for 1000 MC. Like I said, all you have to do is whisper me, at me, do something, somehow message me on Twitch or in Discord, or heck, if you do it in game, I'll give it to you in game.
And I think you have another giveaway coming?
Oh yes, it's already rolling. And it is Craven Dark Shadow, actually. Craven, congratulations, Craven. I believe is a streamer. I can't keep up with all the MWO streamers, but congratulations, Craven. Ping me, do something. I'm pretty sure I've seen you in Discord.
He does have a stream. He is streaming. I think he was streaming earlier today, actually. So yeah, good for him.
Well, congratulations, Craven and Brower. Brower, I'll get you your mech bay, and Craven, I'll get you your MC. Just let me know. All right. Do you want to head over to Discord, see if we've got an interview?
Yeah.
All right. I have messaged them. Don't see them in the Discord channel, but we'll see. We'll try and get this figured out.
Give it a few.
Hello, testing. Can you hear me, Sarmon?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right. So just as a fair warning, folks, we were having a bit of trouble with Discord earlier, but we'll try and do this interview as best as we can. We just hope the voice servers hold up. OpenW is asking where to go. Jump in a voice channel. And Pickle Dex. Come on, Pickle Dex. I know you know how to use Discord. But anyway, Saruman, what are you most looking to ask about these people? We want to find out if they were forced to bring crabs.
I actually just want to ask them about how their first forays, and I want to ask Merkstar how their first forays in the comp felt, and I wouldn't mind asking them about their Merkstar crab decks, and then maybe ask 228 about how they're going to bounce back. Not sure.
Yep. This is for anyone who doesn't know, this tournament is set up as, I guess, a Swiss pairings tournament. So every round, based on your record, you fight someone with a similar record until eventually, kind of everyone's all got a set ranking for everyone at the end of the season. I believe, I don't remember how many rounds there will be. I'm not sure that is set in stone at the moment. But the initial seedings for this week were just based off of Jarl's list stats, and I think maybe some of the more 8 comp stuff. I know EMP, I believe, was one of the top ranked teams up there with Blackwatch and Black Omen, and some of the older and newer teams kind of got stuck in the bottom, but we'll see how things kind of shake out. Will Weapon and them show up though? I don't know. Pickle Dax, do I have to go in your team speak and yell at you?
Maybe. Na 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 na
Well, if these players don't get in here shortly, I think we're just gonna have to call the interview. I don't want to keep people waiting.
I don't want to keep myself waiting. I gotta go to work.
Well, rip. I do, but not for many hours. All right. Well, that's a Pickle Dax. Pickle Dax, you're muted.
All right, so there's one.
Unmute yourself, Pickle.
Hey, give me a second. I'll go grab Weapon.
Oh, okay.
Another thing.
Oh, okay. If you know where he is, let us. Oh, we had one and then we lost him. Oh no.
'Tis life.
'Tis life. I wonder if they're in the 228 team speak. I'm very confused. It's part of being newer team leaders, I guess. Don't quite have all of the things figured out yet.
Okay, he doesn't have access to this because he doesn't have.
But he.
All right, he
tell
just
him
needs
to
to join a
jump
voice
in
channel,
one
and
of
we
the
will
voice
drag him
channels,
down.
yes.
So he doesn't have the information to get to your voice channel. Is what I'm getting.
No, he can get in any of them, like the general channel.
No, dude, he doesn't.
Does he not have access to this Discord?
He doesn't have access to this Discord. However, he is
Oh.
in the ISC Discord waiting patiently, and we can go there by
Oh.
chance.
I don't think I'm in the ISC Discord.
Wait.
Rip us. Is
What?
there an ISC Discord? Their Reddit post links
Yeah, there
back to
is.
this one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, hold on.
All right. Please wait for our technical difficulties, folks.
Oh, hold on. Let me see.
Oh wait. Ha. Yes,
You got
join
it?
Inner Sphere. Yes. Hello.
Hey y'all.
Sorry,
How's it going?
there was a bit of confusion. We thought you were coming over to the MWO Comp Discord, not this one. How you doing, Weapon?
Good, excited, happy.
How
It's
you,
fun.
how you doing, Pickle? Mr. Dax?
Bad.
All right, so Weapon W, first official comp match won by your team. How does it feel?
Feels really good. So we took coming in here. We know 228 was a really, really strong team. So we took a lot of time to work out our strategies, and so a lot of our players were really active. And and I want to thank the Mercstar people for allowing me to kind of handle this. So
That was good. So for those of us who are less familiar with Mercstar's inner workings, do you guys like practice a lot with the crab people, or have you been kind of practicing? You're getting your own scrims. How's that working?
so we have internal scrims. That's what we're.
Okay, so you're kind of using some of the experience of some of your more experienced players that kind of help out. They may be taking some strategies for them.
Yes. So yeah, definitely Kami, near Solon, and Damocles and Xavier and others are really helpful in getting the crawdads.
Cool.
So
Sarman, you got any question? Sorry.
Well, Chichuays, what do you guys feel you need to do to win your next match?
Practice.
Anything else? Since, in all honesty, the decks kind of felt a little weird. Not gonna lie.
It's because they were. To be honest, dude, we didn't have any real time to practice because nobody was there to practice, and that causes a huge issue. As you can see from tonight, there's a huge difference between a team that practices and a team that doesn't. If your team doesn't practice, well, you can't expect to win, can you? So if you're gonna get gripey and not practice, well, that's on you. And that's how we looked at it. So we all got a good giggle because we realized we weren't really there and available for the practice this week. Shit happens, right? I mean, what can you expect? But they did a really good job. I think Weapons team did a fucking amazing job. I mean, that first round really kind of threw us in a
Pickle,
twist.
watch the language, please.
Oh, sorry. That first round threw us right in a twist, and we were like, "Oh wow!" I mean, like they're out trading us and stuff. We got to do something. So we played the cap game instead. And second round, we were kind of expecting the same thing, and then they threw a loop into us by bringing these medium pulse brawlers, and it's like, damn it! Once again, we're not opt for this fight. We got to figure out a way, and clearly we didn't win that one. But I think they did an amazing job. I mean, like I don't know. I think they can go far. I mean, their focus fire was right on cue. Ours was lacking until the end game, but theirs was right on. I really enjoyed playing against them.
Sounds good. I think I don't have any more questions. Toast to you.
All right. I think probably just keep this interview short and sweet. I know it's getting kind of late for you and kind of late for me. All right. Any last words you want to say, Weapon?
No, it's a fun tournament, so looking forward to more. And thanks for the games 228, and thanks for casting.
Oh wait, one
guys.
thing we did want to ask: did they make you run the crab deck, or did you choose that of your own volition?
We did that on our own.
Okay, cool. Pickle Dax, you have anything you want to say?
Actually, I kind of expected the crab deck to come out somewhere, and I figured it would be HBG of all things.
You must have been watching the other match, yeah.
No, it was just I figured I did spend some time on some of the maps and whatnot to do some figuring, and HBG was the only map that would be feasible for.
Yeah, it's definitely probably the best map for that kind of mid-range brawly laser vomit mech. It's pretty cold, but pretty close up, and you don't really need jump jets as much as you do on some of the other ones. Anyways,
Also, just real quick, Weapon, I would advise you join the MW Comp Discord, since that is where all the MW competitive league action is happening.
Yep. Anyone in chat
really
too
quick.
who wants to join. It's not just for competitive teams, competitive players. There's people there giving advice. You can, if you want to join a team, there's like a recruitment board where you can kind of post yourself, say, "Here I am. I want to join a team. Who will accept me?"
Okay.
So yeah, it's a good resource for anybody out there who wants to, even if they don't want to get into comp, who just wants to get better at the game and that sort of thing. But anyways, gentlemen, thanks for coming out. Thanks for showing us some good matches tonight. Real good, close game, 3-2 decision. I always like it. Thanks to ISC for letting us cast these, and thanks for MWO Comp for allowing us to be part of your shoutcasting team.
Yep, good games, guys.
Yeah, man.
And I guess that's it for me tonight. Saruman, you got anything to say?
Absolutely nothing. Have a wonderful day, viewers, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.